It's now time for Remember When with Uncle John. John Guess, Ouachita County's resident storyteller and local historian. Sit back now and enjoy a walk down memory lane as John recalls the days of yesteryear in his own unique way. You never know, some of it might even be true. So here's Uncle John, along with his trusty sidekick, Kelly Blair.
Back on Remember When with Uncle John. Well, we are almost there. We are at the next best thing to a Friday. But the great thing is you have the ability to go back and listen to Remember When with Uncle John anytime. If you're now, if you're just catching us today or something like that, you can go back and listen to the rest previous shows this week, last week, any of that. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or you can find us on the Radio Works, yes, Radio Works Facebook page. Just lock us in. And I understand on those podcasts now, if you just kind of click on it and sign up or whatever, it'll instantly download the latest episode. You ain't even got to go find it after that. It'll come to you.
Man, that's great.
That's pretty nice, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Thought I'd talk about my good friend Dale Cox. Yesterday would have been his birthday. Of course, we had Wrestling Wednesday, He was born August 3rd, 1958. He'd have been 64 years old yesterday. We lost him in 2012. He passed away in September the 13th, 2012. The day I got on the school bus, the first Tuesday after Labor Day in 1966, I sat down and we picked him up right up the road, and he sat down with me and became my very first best friend.
There you go.
And Dale didn't have a daddy. Dale was raised without a daddy, and I guess the closest thing he had to a daddy was my daddy.
There you go.
After he moved from Reeder, he moved to Chittister, and my daddy had the service station, and he became part of the family, And he was a wild man.
No.
He would do anything that you dared him to do.
Oh, golly.
But he would.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous.
There ain't enough time here to tell the stories. But he had a heart of gold. If you needed help, it didn't matter if it was digging a quarter-mile-long ditch or it was trimming trees or whatever you needed. He was there with you.
There you go.
And he would have moved heaven and earth for my daddy. But the only time I ever saw him cry was at my daddy's funeral.
Oh, wow.
But Dale was, like I said, his life was pretty turbulent. His mother, couldn't control him, and he didn't have a daddy. And he stayed in trouble a lot, got in a lot of trouble. But, he would be there for you when you needed him. When he got cancer. And my buddy Randy and I, we took him to Little Rock, for his cancer treatments once a month for, I guess, close to a year. And he had a wreck in 1980. Went to sleep at the wheel, under the influence, and run off the road before you get into Chittister there on Highway 24. Never touched the brake. Hit a tree at who knows how fast, and broke all the bones in his face.
Oh, man.
Broke his jaw, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and got out and crawled down the road to the house.
Wow.
And they put him in the hospital. Brought him here to Camden and shipped him straight to Little Rock. And he stayed in St. Vincent's for quite a while, had his jaw wired together and his face, with that big halo around his face and everything. And they called us, or he called Bill Johnson, had a service station in Chittister. Couldn't get a hold of nobody. And they turned him loose up there, and he had to go, And Bill got a hold of me and my good friend Dick Tallman, we went up and picked him up. And his jaw was wired together. His face, he had that halo around him. And he wanted a beer. So we stopped on University Avenue and got a 6-pack of beer and a straw. And he come down I-30 sipping beer through a straw, Tough as the day was long. But a good friend. I think about him every year. Several of us got together when he passed away and bought his tombstone for him. He had some distant family, and he had already thought far enough ahead to pay for his funeral. But we got together and bought his tombstone for him, and he's laid to rest up at Bluff City. I gave the eulogy at his funeral, was a pallbearer at his funeral. And, I think about him every year on August the 3rd because he hadn't, like I said, the first day of school, my first day of school, 1966. He became my first best friend, and we stayed good friends till the day he passed away.
There you go.
And they say as long as there's somebody left to mention your name, you're never forgotten.
That's true.
And as long as I'm alive, I'll always mention his name every year on August the 3rd.
Absolutely, because that's what we do. We remember when around here.
That's what we do. And I'm going to tell you, if I ever write that book, everybody tells me I ought to write, it'll take more than one chapter to cover Dale.
Hey, there you go.
We called him Cowboy. It'll take more than a chapter to cover Cowboy.
Absolutely. Memories that both bless and burn. Hey, that's going to wrap up Remember When with Uncle John here for today, folks. Big thanks to Prescott Raceway, one of our great sponsors, with us most of the year. Go by PrescottRaceway.net. Check out the schedule there. Got races going on this weekend. Give them a call at 904-5952 so you'll know exactly what you're looking at. Also, Sherwin-Williams House Paint, 315 Jefferson Street, right here in Camden. If you're painting the outside, painting the inside, Greg Bradshaw and those guys can tell you, nope, you're going to need one of these too. Call them at 836-8125.
And we don't want to forget ProMed Ambulance, 1-800-634-0436. Serving Randolph, Lawrence, Ashley, Union, Dallas, and Calhoun County. Give them a call.
And thanks to J.J. Lindsay down at the Shopper's Guide for hooking us up with some cards, man. You need some stationery, anything, they got to do a great job down there.
See you tomorrow, Kelly.
You've been listening to Remember When with Uncle John on Y95. This broadcast can be heard each weekday morning at 6:45 on South Arkansas's favorite station, Y95.